Have you ever played a Metroidvania game? I can't say that I am an avid fan of this genre, but however, there is one thing I really like about this type of game: exploring. You can visit beautiful landscapes in the Blind Forest, meet some unique characters in Chinese like Steampunk City in a feast, observe Dracula collection in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or investigate complex relationships between incense in shows like Hollow Knight. And the last two games do a great job telling stories without doing it manually. Despite the mandatory cutscenes, you can still play these games without stopping. Environment gives you all the information about this place and creatures that live here. And maybe one day I will make this kind of game. Wait, why don't you make it in your puzzle game? You mean a plot in a puzzle game? Valve Company do many playtests, and after a year of developing the Portal game, playtesters send the same feedback. That sounds like what a great tutorial, looking forward to the actual game. This feedback makes Valve understand that their puzzle game needs a story. You travel through chambers and suddenly find a hidden place with strange signs and pictures on the walls. Somebody warns you about danger. From this moment you understand that there is something more behind all these puzzles, and in the end, you meet the antagonist of this game. When I started to create this game, I decided to not make a story-driven game, but make something more similar to Mario games. The story is just a background and the developer can concentrate on the mechanics. In almost every Mario game, you rescue a princess kidnapped by a Bowser. That's why my first plot draft looked like that. You are a father slime whose kids were kidnapped, hello Angry Birds, and you need to travel through 3 different worlds to rescue them. It was a bright family story with cute slimes and a happy ending. I made my character friendly and wanted to add a soft body effect, but something was wrong. Long after my brother told me, "Why don't you make a game about slime from D&D world?" Remember him, right? And that's an excellent idea. There are not many games where you play as a monster, so it could be a jelly cube that eats adventurers in a dungeon. D&D was always about having fun during adventures, so the core of my story will be a conflict between monsters living together in one dungeon. They can't decide who is the scariest monster of this castle, and it can be a lot of fun if you look at the story from the monster's perspective. But the question is, how? How can I make a story in a puzzle game? First of all, I don't want to distract players from solving riddles by adding unskippable cutscenes or changing gameplay from puzzle game to adventure game with dialogue and decisions, because it will make my game look like a film or a cartoon. But we are making a video game. We have many tools to use for storytelling. First, the environment. In a Portal game, they used an additional room with clues, but we could have more of it. What if every room in my dungeon told a story about the creatures here? I decided to create a castle with 4 sections with a monster in each section. Each section can have a different environment that tells stories about these monsters. My first story is about a Drider, half an elf and half a spider, from D&D lore, of course. As you explore his part of the dungeon, you can find a picture of him with some lady, a broken window with a rope, as if someone entered his bedroom, a tomb with only one crypt, and a skeleton in a web. Those are just parts of environment, but they tell a story. I really like this idea. Another way to tell a story is through mechanics. For example, let's take another part of the dungeon. As one of the monsters explains, you don't need to kill dungeoneers in a melee combat if someone else can defeat them. There will be a lot of traps at this level, and they will become your new skill, and they will show you how to defeat this monster. I mean the monsters that told you that you can not eat them. Now I have all the tools for storytelling, and I need to create as many stories as I can. By the way, I had my first playtest this week, so I can say that the game is playable. I will create a Steam demo after I finish drawing characters and implementing the story. I'm working on my game art. There are some Unity assets I bought, and there are some that I created myself. It's now getting closer to the final version of the game. Please subscribe and leave a comment if you enjoy my work. This will help me spread the word about my game. And see you next week.